I don't have a joke to open this one with because I think I used up all my Godzilla jokes on the first one that we reviewed, which is a shame because we have at least one more coming up this month. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
Not Michelle.
This is KaiJUNE, in which we are watching kaiju movies all throughout the month of June, and we're going decade by decade. We are now at the 80s, and we already watched the very first Godzilla film. We are now moving into the second era of Godzilla. For anybody who doesn't know, Godzilla is divided up into 4 different time periods. There was the Showa era, which was the original Godzilla, which was, aside from the original film, tended to be a little bit more goofy, a little bit more lighthearted. It was definitely the guy in a big rubber suit era. We are now moving into the Heisei era. And the Heisei era, still a guy in a big rubber suit, but it gets a little bit more serious. It takes itself a little bit more, it pays a little bit more tribute to the very first Godzilla film, while still having some of that big over-the-top monsters punching each other energy of the Showa era. And because of that, the Heisei era is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I haven't seen all the Heisei films. In fact, I hadn't even seen this one until now, but I've seen most of them. And they definitely, to me, feel the most like what I think of when I think of Godzilla.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. It's like, anytime like you think of Godzilla, you probably think of like the films from that era.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not saying anything against, the classic Showa era ones, but they are, it's like the Adam West Batman versus, okay, this is what it is. Showa era is Adam West Batman. Heisei era is Batman the Animated Series. It's like, yeah, okay, we all respect Adam West Batman. When you think of Batman, you think of Kevin Conroy. So this film, it's interesting because I think this is one of the very first examples of a requel, because it comes in here and it essentially says, oh yeah, none of those other Godzilla films happened except the first one. Excuse me. I'm about to atomic breath everywhere.
Burping and sneezing.
Yeah, it's been a big day for things coming out of my face. I apologize to everyone. By the way, fun fact: I planned this entire month simply because I want to do a month of kaiju movies, and it's June, so the names line up. But literally, like a week ago, they announced that the Godzilla Destroy All Monsters video game from the 2000s is getting a remaster out of nowhere. It's like, oh, sweet. Okay, cool. I just thought that was a fun little coincidence. Anywho, but this is a requel in that none of the other Godzilla films happen outside of that first one. And so you're in a country where everybody is aware of Godzilla. They know that Godzilla exists. They know that Godzilla came, destroyed Japan a long time ago, but now it's back. Mm-hmm. And man, we mentioned that the original Godzilla was a metaphor for the atomic bomb. And watching this movie, oh my God, they absolutely should have brought Godzilla back in the 1980s. Because this film is all about the Cold War.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that before going into this.
Yeah, it's very interesting how, like, the original is basically, like, a representation of, like, what happened in World War II, and then now the requel is the representation of what's happening during the Cold War.
Yeah, and it's happening they made this during the Cold War.
Yes.
And man, that's the thing. I mentioned when we watched the first Godzilla, one of my favorite things about that film is that it feels like a snapshot of being in Japan at that time. Not because there were giant kaijus walking around, but because it's a snapshot of what it was like to be someone in Japan in the 1950s who survived through the bomb, who this horrible thing happened to. What's it like to have that mentality? Like, how did they feel about that? This film is what it's like to be Japan during the Cold War when Russia and America are constantly like, we're going to send atomic bombs at you, and you're right smack dab in the middle when you have experience with this shit, and you're like, oh God, not again. So it makes perfect sense that they would reboot Godzilla at this time. And I mentioned that was one of my favorite things about the original Godzilla. That's my favorite thing about this film. Because, if you live in America, you know all about the Cold War. Like, it is ingrained into your consciousness, especially if you grew up before the 2000s. You knew people talking about the Cold War. Like, it was very much a part of your life. but you only know it from the American standpoint, from the American viewpoint, I should say. Watching this, it is so fascinating because it made me actually think, oh God, yeah, what must it have been like to be Japan at that point in time? When both of your neighbors are being complete assholes and threatening to do the thing that happened to you 40 years ago from one of your neighbors, and you're like, this is one of the worst things that could possibly happen to anybody. Why are you dumb motherfuckers planning on doing it again? And I love that about this film. I think that is a great element of it. The rest of it is just okay. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I did enjoy it. I thought the Godzilla suit was well put together.
Okay, we're gonna have some disputes on that. Yeah, keep going.
I don't know what I want to say.
Okay. Okay. This is the thing about actual Godzilla. You know what? We'll just wait to get to Godzilla in a second, because while I'm already talking so much about the Cold War elements of it, a Russian sub, for anybody who is younger and is like, okay, what was the Cold War like? Again, I was barely a toddler when the Cold War ended.
Both of us.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like I lived through this, but again, if you were an American who was alive before the 2000s, people talked about this a lot. You knew all about this. And still to this day, you get movies and television and stuff that is set during that time period, so you're still aware of it. Like, we did a review of Welcome to Derry. That entire thing is about the Cold War is happening. Hey, did we mention the Cold War? Hey, the Russians are out there, everybody. So yeah, you still to this day is such a big part of American culture. But what the hell was I about to say? But one of the leading parts of it was that for like 3 decades, America and Russia was like, if anything happens, if one thing goes wrong, the bombs start dropping. We are constantly thinking about that. It's in the back of our mind at all times. Like, that's one of those things that whenever I would talk to my dad about, like, how fucked up it is in the world today, he'll always be like, for my entire childhood, I thought I was going to be wiped out in an atomic bomb. And it's like, all right, you win, fine, fuck. Didn't think it was a competition.
It's like every generation has their own shit to go through.
Yeah, old man. You're not special. I love my dad, just so everybody know that.
Happy Father's Day, by the way.
Yeah, we're recording this the day before Father's Day. But yeah, that was the thing that was on everybody's mind, that if anything goes wrong, the bombs start dropping. And not only does this start off with, okay, Godzilla is back. Godzilla attacks a Russian sub. And automatically, like, the tensions are like, okay, Russia and America are going to come together in Japan where this happened because one of our ships got destroyed, so we deserve vengeance on Godzilla. It's here. If it comes on land, we're going to drop atomic bombs. And then America's like, hey, if they're dropping atomic bombs, we're going to drop atomic bombs too, okay? And the moment in this film in which they're having the big conference there in Japan, and you see the Japanese prime minister and all the people who are working with him sitting on one side, and the moment that Russia and America both agree, we will drop bombs on Japan if Godzilla steps forward here, you see, like, everybody on the Japanese side just going, and that was the moment that him is like, oh my God, that's what it was like for these guys for like 3 decades of, would you motherfuckers stop doing this? And I love that. I love that moment in this film. And there's this big tension for an extended period of this film that is, okay, how do we talk Russia and America, the people who have been beefing for 3 decades now, to not do this very stupid thing? And I like that. I really like that about this movie. But then Godzilla starts attacking. I think this is one of the worst looking Godzillas.
It's like, it's like, I thought it was okay. I mean,
here's the thing. If it was a toy, I would look at its design and be like, that's a pretty fine looking Godzilla.
Maybe that's why I like it. It looks a lot like the toys that would be in toy stores when I was a little kid.
Very much so. But as far as guy in a suit vibes go, this is the most unmoving Godzilla I have seen in a while. Because, like, I swear I don't think he could do anything from the chest up. Because, like, there's a moment in which a train is going across. And the train stops right in front of Godzilla. And it reaches down and grabs the train. But, like, it feels like the guy in the suit is blind and he can't do anything from here up because you see the hand going down, but this part doesn't move and is just staring forward and is just
like
reaching for the train, like the face unmoving, unflinching, anything. And I was just like, oh, that looks bad. And there's so many other moments in here in which the guy in the suit just isn't moving at all. Like, you need to have like a little Jason Voorhees vibe to your Godzilla, where even if he is stationary, like he's like shrugging his shoulders a little bit, breathing in and out or something. And there's so many moments in which I was like, did the guy in the suit just leave? Is he just, oh no, a hand moved. Okay, all right.
like just put a hockey mask over Godzilla. It's like,
that's a crossover that shockingly hasn't happened yet. I repeat, yet. Although that was the rumor that was going to happen in multiverses at some point, that they kept saying like, oh, Godzilla, there was a leaked data set that said that Godzilla was going to be in here at one point, and then I think some of the people who did work in multiverses came out and went, that was all bullshit. I haven't thought about that game in a while. But yeah, you need the guy in the suit to be like moving a little bit at all times and like, like just kind of like turning and looking around and everything. There's multiple moments in here in which the guy in the suit is just, and like the camera's moving around, people are screaming, and I'm like, dude, you can tell me that was a parade float and I believe you right now. Like, I seriously thought at moments that the guy couldn't be in the suit, so they just left it there on set. Like, maybe the suit is so stiff it can just stand up on its own. And I was like, no, oh wait, a hand moved. Okay, he's in there, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, but at the same time, I feel like having Godzilla stand still and like everything else around you is chaos, like makes you realize how messed up everything is.
I get that, yeah. Okay, I can see the appeal of that. But man, we made a joke about like the googly eyes in the original Godzilla design, but I was like, yeah, that was 1950s, it was the first one, that makes sense. The eyes on this one are stationary, like completely stationary. So he has just got that 1,000-yard stare no matter what is happening. And it does not, listen, the original suit, if you ask me what suit looks better, I'd say, yeah, I guess this one looks better than the suit in the very first film. But the suit in the very first film feels more like it's there in the scenes, whereas this one so often feels like they just had to shoot around a toy. Like, they had to like go like, okay, the guy in the suit can't make it here today. I was going to just call him Bob, but then I was like, the guy in the suit would not be named Bob. Bob McFreely here from America. I heard there was big opportunities for guys in rubber suits. And it's a very specific field, but I specialize in it, so they called me up. So yeah, but yeah, there were so many moments in which they were like, okay, listen, he couldn't be on set today. We're just going to put this toy here and just film it standing there, but then everybody else is going to react like it's a thing. And I'm like, man, it does not. It feels... The original Godzilla might not have looked as good as this one, but it feels like a monster that is in that scene. There are many moments here in which Godzilla took me out of the film because I was like, that is clearly just a thing in a suit. That is clearly... I don't even know if it's a thing in a suit. It might just be a suit. Yeah, I do not think the Godzilla in this film is good. I hate saying that because...
You're entitled to your own opinion.
Yes. But also, part of the reason why I'm saying this is because, like I said, I'm a fan of the Heisei era. I know it gets better. I know after this, it starts looking immensely better. But again, the other thing is, it's not so much about the looks. It's about just moving. I made the Jason Voorhees comparison because everybody's favorite Jason Voorhees is... I'm blanking on his name right now. Crap. Sorry, but it's the guy who was him in 7, 8, 9. Ironically, 3 of the worst films. But everybody... Kane Hodder. But the reason why everybody likes Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees is because he made it so that even when Jason is standing still, he gave him these big... Like, even when he's standing still, you can, like, feel like there's something in there. You need to take that lesson and put it in this Godzilla. Like, he needs to be moving. He needs to be doing, like, even if it's not, like, a big, like, moving all around, like, even just a little, like shoulder shrug or something. But, like, I think probably the suit just was incapable of that. It might have just been... Again, they hadn't made a Godzilla in a while when this movie came out. So yeah, and it was a completely new look for Godzilla. It was not guy in big rubber suit. They wanted this to look like Big Lizard. You need a little bit more of the guy in suit vibe in there a little bit, I guess. But again, I'm sorry for having that opinion. But yeah, I did not like the Godzilla in this movie. It's weird that my favorite part of this film is the government bureaucracy. But the more I think about it, that's my favorite thing about Shin Godzilla too. So maybe I just really like that element of Godzilla films. Just occurred to me that we have not yet talked about, I've talked about the politicians. There's a whole other group of humans that were following throughout all this. Hey buddy, you want to get up here? Jump up, tiny dog. No? Okay. Hey, there she goes. Yeah. So yeah, there's a whole other group of humans. There's a scientist who's figuring out a way to like distract and send Godzilla off. There's a reporter, and then there's the sister of the sailor who saw Godzilla in the beginning, and they're all fine. They're not like annoying. They're just entertaining enough to stick with. Like at no point was I like, man, get off these boring characters. But the fact that we took this long to bring them up kind of lets you know, like, yeah, they're not the most entertaining part of this film. Especially the sister. Man, she is there just to be like the lady that the other guy has to help. That's it. Yeah, like there's some moments in there which I'm just like, I think I know why you're in this movie. I will say there is one thing in here that I find to be interesting, but I don't think that they do it enough. There's a moment in which Tokyo, or I'm sorry, what's the Tokyo that he attacks? I don't know where he attacks actually in here.
Is it Shibuya? Or?
I think that was it. They definitely mentioned Shibuya.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We've watched Tokyo get destroyed a lot this month. I'm starting to mix stuff up in my head. But there's a moment in which the city gets completely like everybody leaves.
Evacuated?
Thank you. I almost said evaporated. I was like, that's what we want to not happen.
That's the complete opposite.
That's what Godzilla was trying to do, but we had to stop him from doing it. So everybody leaves the city. Except for like one homeless guy who goes into a bar and he's just like pouring himself like all these drinks and all this food, and then he starts yelling at Godzilla to like get out of here. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But then he comes back later on in which they need help escaping from this building. Like they need someone to hold this fire hose while they're trying to climb down it. And he helps them out with that. And then they hang out for a little bit. And I'm like, this guy need to be like one more
appearance?
One more appearance, not after this, but earlier.
Yeah.
Because he didn't appear until Godzilla was attacking the city, right? Like that was his first appearance?
Unless he did appear before that and we
both completely forgot it. But the fact that both of us would have forgotten it, that's kind of, I can't see that happening. This guy feels like we should have seen him before Godzilla attacked, during the attack, helping the people towards the end of the attack. I like the idea of putting in there like, okay, what's it like for just some random guy in Japan, in this city, being attacked? What's it like for them? Not the scientist who's working on this, not the reporter who's covering it, not the politician. What's it like for just one random guy? I like that idea.
A random homeless guy who literally has nothing to lose. So
he's carrying around everything on him, like in a little cart.
Yeah, like he's literally grabbing everything everyone else left behind.
I like this idea of actually seeing like this from his point of view. We need to see him before this happened.
Yeah.
So I felt like, okay, good idea. Need a little bit of a tweaking in there. But then the whole Cold War stuff comes back around even heavier when they need atomic bombs to save them from another atomic bomb. And I think, again, it's just like them trying to like paint this picture of like, it's a weird time, man. And I kind of enjoy that. But I will say, okay, we'll give our score now because all that's really left is talking about how Godzilla is defeated. I will say, this film, it feels far more realistic and down-to-earth than a lot of other Godzilla films. Probably because there's nobody else but Godzilla in this movie. Godzilla isn't fighting some other big monster. And the films where that happens always tend to be the most realistic Godzilla films. The moment that other big monsters come in, that's when you can say, oh, and the government has developed this super science weapon. But then the government brings in a big super science weapon, and it feels so out of nowhere. Like, they mentioned they're working on it. But we don't see like any experiments. We don't even see like, here's the test of what we're making. They mentioned they're working on it. Then like just some super ship shows up and starts blasting Godzilla with energy blasts. And I'm just like, that really, in a world where we just had a very realistic conversation about the Cold War, it feels very odd to now just go, oh, by the way, did you know that Japan just has like a super ship that just can shoot out ray beams and everything? It's like, okay, sure. Yeah, that felt out of place to me. But what would you give this movie?
Probably B+.
B+. I'm gonna go B. I'm gonna go right down the middle B on it. But yeah, getting into the spoiler stuff, we should talk about how Godzilla is defeated.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like this idea that they realize, like, okay, Godzilla uses some kind of like echolocation, like kind of like whales and stuff to be able to figure out where it's going. We create an artificial version of that to force it to walk in this direction, and we send it directly towards a volcano. I kind of like that idea, but again, it comes back around to, I don't think this is a good Godzilla suit. Because I mentioned there are moments in which it feels like they're just focusing on a toy rather than an actual
like the
thing.
way he fell into the lava is just like, it's just like someone like put a toy right there and it's just like waiting for gravity to do its thing.
But also, even before that, when they're supposed to have like this, he's right there on the edge, and there's this very tense moment of going back and forth between Godzilla and the human of like, do we do it now? Do we set up the bombs? Every time we cut to Godzilla, I'm like, okay, I see this human acting his ass off, and when you cut back, it's so clearly like, just like, they come back to, oh, do we do it now? It doesn't feel like Godzilla needed to be like, how do you have Godzilla staying on the edge of this lava and you're having this tense moment of, do we set off the bombs now? Is it time to drop Godzilla? And you don't have Godzilla even like get out the like scream a little.
Like, I'm wondering like what the budget or technical limits were for this movie.
There feel like there's moments where they run out of cash.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely moments where it feels like they run out of cash. I need to look up, I should have looked up like what the budget and what they expected the success of this to be. Because I know this kicked off the Heisei era. This kicked off a whole new era. Clearly this was a big hit. But my question is, were they expecting it to be? Excuse me. Because the next Heisei film was Godzilla vs. Biollante, and this came out in 1984. Godzilla vs. Biollante, maybe this was the American release date. I don't know if it was or if it was the Japanese release date, but it was 1989. That's a big-ass gap. Mm-hmm. These days, 5 years between a Godzilla film makes total sense. That makes 1,000% sense. This was still back during that era in which they were pumping this shit out. So it makes me stop and think, did it take a while for this to catch on? Was it a success, but not as much as you thought, so you had to discuss whether or not to bring Godzilla back again? Yeah, I don't know. But that gap really makes me wonder. But I do still like this film. I do not like it nearly as much as some of the other Heisei films that I've seen, but I will say, I really love all the Cold War stuff in here. That was something I was not expecting from this film. You go into this movie and you're just like, all right, how's this going to be different from the other Godzilla films? In a way, it's not different because it's still talking about atomic war, but it's talking about a specific time period where that was a very hot button issue. No pun intended, hot button. And they're talking about it from a point of view that I never really considered, and I loved all that discussion. And it's a very different discussion from the original Godzilla, because the original Godzilla was talking about atomic bombs from the point of view of, we suffered through this. This is horrible. It's the worst thing that could happen. This is, okay, it's being talked about again. We have a seat at the table now. We are now going to, it's almost like a power fantasy thing, because it's, okay, I can imagine someone in Japan during this time having that fantasy of, I just want to sit America and Russia down and say, stop doing this. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy that. That's what this film is, basically. Anything else that you want to add?
Not really.
Okay. So that is it for, what was that, part 4? 50, 60, 70, 80. That is part 4 We're halfway through KaiJUne, even though we started this halfway through June. Sorry, my computer's been weird, and I had to take it in for repairs, so I missed like 2 weeks of this month. But we're still going to get you all 8 reviews before the end of this month. So we're moving into the 90s now, and we've done Godzilla, we've done King Kong, we did whatever the Frankenstein Gargantuas were. Some of these are not as big as the other ones. But for this one, it's time that we hit another kaiju staple. We're going to Gamera. We're doing the first film from the Gamera 90s trilogy. See you guys then.
Bye.